this Wednesday morning and what happens on Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock on WMSR.
Let's talk antiques.
You got it. And we got a really interesting show today because I know that when we get out into the public, everybody's saying, how do you sell something on eBay? You know, I want to sell this item. You know, everybody wants to sell something. So our show today is going to give you, we're actually going to walk you through and teach you how you can actually register on eBay, how to set up your PayPal account, how to do it all. As long as you got a computer, you'll be able to, after this show is done, you'll be able to sell on eBay. But a couple of things that we need to do before we get started. One is to wish Ronnie happy birthday because his birthday was the other day.
Well, thank you.
How old are you, Ronnie?
I'm 52 years old.
You don't look 52.
No, I tell everybody I'm 32.
I think you're right.
Most of them don't believe me.
And another thing, you know, this is live, so sometimes we make mistakes. And last week I did make a mistake because we was talking about Maureen O'Hara, and I told everybody that she was with Johnny Weisenmuller in Tarzan, but it was Maureen O'Sullivan that was with him. I got the O part right.
You got the O part and you got the
and
Marina
I got the Marina part.
So you were close.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so I wanted to straighten that up.
Yeah.
Are you going to start now? And we're going to. I want to sell on eBay, so help me.
Oh.
And I don't know a thing about it.
Okay, you don't know anything about it. Now, I'm going to tell you, eBay has lots of good resources. If you're a first-time seller, if you're beginning, and I would highly recommend, if you'll scroll down to the bottom of the page, there's a link there that says selling on eBay. If you'll click that link, there's some good videos that you can watch. Teaches you how to write descriptions, teaches you about taking your pictures, which is very important. Teaches you about shipping, which now shipping can make or break a sale on eBay, especially if it's an item that doesn't bring much money and you're selling at a flat rate. You know, you've got to know.
Now, Ronnie, when you're talking here, you're assuming that these people have a computer. You definitely got to have a computer.
You got to have
and a camera
and a camera to take some pictures.
Right. But if you got those two things, not only if you got a computer, you got to have a computer that's online. It's
right.
Actually, and if you got
what about
that,
a smartphone?
Yeah, you can sell. I've seen a lot of people.
They have eBay Mobile.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can do it from your smartphone.
Oh yeah.
You don't have a computer.
I've got a couple of friends of mine. That's how they list their stuff right off their phone. They don't even.
So if you don't have a computer, you can do your phone also.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And you can keep up with your auctions, you know, with a phone. That's really nice. Of course, I don't have a smartphone, but if I did,
you do have one, but you don't carry it.
I do have one, but I don't carry it because in my line of work, I go through a lot of phones. So I'm better off with a flip phone that covers my screen and protects it, but it don't always protect it from dropping in water. But anyway, you know, there's lots of things that you can sell on eBay. They have a page that says what's hot and trends. You know, you can go through there and you can see the items that are selling right now. You know, what's selling the most of. Of course, we like to sell antiques. And
you know, years ago, Ronnie, I know you're going to get into each of these steps, but years ago, I was doing something that eBay is selling as part of their tools now. I always I'd pick items and I would track them on completed auctions. This is items that's done sold, and you can actually click on a icon that says completed auctions, and it'll tell you can go from the highest, what sold the highest, right on down to the cheapest on that particular item. And that's how I did for years. I tracked. And I still do it.
I've seen your watch list. You would have hundreds of items on your watch list that you'd be keeping up with. But now eBay has an app for that.
Yeah, they sure do. And I wonder where they got the idea.
You didn't get it, did you?
No, I didn't. But don't you know that other people did the same thing I did?
Of course they do. And you can go you can check what's the prices for the last 30 days, last 60 days, last 90 days.
Yeah.
I would want more current prices. I wouldn't, be interested in what something brought 5 years ago if I was interested in selling it now, especially.
I wouldn't want to be no later farther out than about 90 days.
Right. And because the prices fluctuate just like everything else, just like any other market.
But I'll tell you something. If you if you specialize, and I know a lot of the listeners here have certain things that once you get done, I'm sure they're going to start selling. But like you said, we used to deal a lot in signs and gas pumps and
Pedal
toys,
cars.
pedal cars, yeah, autographs,
Yes.
baseball
Baseball
stuff.
cards, yeah.
Yeah, but if you specialize, you can track and you can decide whether or not right now is the time to be listing it and selling it too.
Right. A lot of times you're better off just to hold on to what you've got and wait, because eventually,
The market does change, and we can prove that from when we sold all that Mickey Mantle stuff.
Oh, yes.
Where we sold several dollars worth of Mickey Mantle stuff is probably worth 10 times more now.
Yeah,
I know it is, matter of fact.
We sold over $10,000 worth, probably bring over $100
Oh, yeah.
nowadays.
Yeah. A card that we sold for $400 bring $5,000 now.
Yes.
But it was all PSA graded stuff. That's another thing too. But when people first, let's just assume people decided, yeah, we want to get on eBay and we're gonna start selling. My suggestion is to them is to get on eBay and get registered and do all that, but start looking at some of the items that you're thinking about selling and do those completed auctions and see what that kind of stuff is bringing. Educate yourself a little bit.
Exactly. I do too. And on eBay, reputation is everything.
Well,
your feedback.
Yeah.
And you need to always ask if when you sell an item, if they don't give you feedback, you need to email them and ask for feedback. Yeah. Especially if you're just beginning, because you need to build that feedback number up, as quickly as you can.
Yeah, because a lot of people will not deal with somebody that has a 0 feedback or 100 feedback. They're a little leery because they know they're new.
Right.
But you have a high eBay, but not only, Ronnie, on the selling side to get the feedback, but also on the purchasing side.
Exactly.
So you can get that feedback number from purchasing and selling.
Exactly. They want to know how good you are about paying.
Yeah.
How good you are about shipping.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And now, if you have a buyer's account, if you've been buying on eBay and you want to sell, all you have to do is convert that buyer's account to a seller's account. And I would always recommend registering for PayPal, because PayPal is a preferred method of payment.
Well, everybody feels comfortable with PayPal.
Right, they do.
Let me say, when I first got started in it, and you too, on the eBay side of it, which was in the early 90s, I think it was around 95 or 6 or something.
We started about the same time. We shared an account.
Yeah. But here's the thing. When we first started doing it, people would either send you a personal check, they would send you a cashier's check, and what happened was, I guess it's millions of people on eBay. So a lot of those cashier checks were counterfeit. I know a person that lost a $30,000 Camaro over a forged cashier's check. Wasn't real. But they mailed him the check and he released the car. They went down to get the car, right after they mailed the check, and guess what? The check wasn't no good.
Yeah, and with PayPal, they have insurance. With PayPal, you have some measure of security.
But also, if it's not like they said it was, you got some leverage. If you buy an item from eBay and you got a PayPal account and you paid with PayPal, PayPal can turn around and take that back out of their account.
Exactly, and they can take it out that day. Mm-hmm. And
it's just a reputable way of doing business with. And eBay learned pretty quick that, hey, we could do this PayPal thing and make us a lot of money, but also protect our customers and build a bigger base of sellers and buyers.
Right, and it's not a big thing to register for PayPal. You get on there and...
well, first of all, let's don't even get that far, Ronnie.
Okay.
Let's register them and get them on eBay.
Okay.
Keith?
About 2 more minutes.
All right.
You'll if you have a buyer's account, or if you don't have anything.
You're brand new. We got listeners here now that don't have nothing. They decided they want to sell their X on eBay.
Right.
I've never used eBay. Well, how do I use it?
Right at the very top right-hand corner of
I'll tell you
eBay.
what, though, with that, let's go ahead and take a break, because I don't want him to be interrupted when he starts
'cause
explaining.
It takes a little bit for that.
Shelton Lane Antiques in Manchester has over 5,000 square feet of antiques for treasure hunters to explore. They sell vintage clocks, gas pumps, signs, furniture, and glassware. They have over 3,000 vinyl records and a fully stocked 1950s-style general store. Owners Harold and Ruby Shelton have been collecting unique items for years, and you can start or complete your own collection today at Shelton Lane Antiques. Open Wednesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at 100 Shelton Lane, just off 16th Model Road in Manchester, Tennessee. Come look around and plan to stay a while at Shelton Lane Antiques, where we sell antiques, but the history is free.
We would like to thank Dr. David Florence for supporting Let's Talk Antiques. See Dr. Florence at 804 Kalon Street in Manchester for all of your medical needs. Call 728-5522 for your appointment today. Most insurances accepted.
The Jiffy Burger on the Hillsborough Boulevard in Manchester has been voted as having the best hamburgers in Manchester. Hometown atmosphere, historical memorabilia, and of course those great burgers, salads, chicken, and so much more. It's the Jiffy Burger on the Hillsborough Boulevard in Manchester. Call in orders at 728-4452. You can also order at the convenient outdoor curb service. Hamburgers are made the old-fashioned way at the Jiffy Burger, Manchester's finest hamburgers. Open 7:30 until 9, Monday through Saturday.
Back on Let's Talk Antiques. Before we go into the eBay, how to do it, found a couple crazy things sold on eBay. It's the top 20 from Time Magazine. I'll read a couple now and a couple in the next break. The first one on here, the craziest thing sold on Time Magazine was a grilled cheese sandwich, supposedly with a picture of Virgin Mary.
Oh, Virgin Mary, okay. Well, I think I seen a Jesus one time, too.
Virgin Mary, $28,000 it sold for.
Good Lord, I need to cook a few of those.
Cook them till you get one of those.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For
The second
$28,000.
one is, if it'll load, clippings of Justin Bieber's hair.
How much?
Hold on, it went away. $40,668.
Good God.
He gave the hair to Ellen DeGeneres, and she put it on eBay. $40,000 for his hair. Got a Justin Timberlake half-eaten French toast for $1,000.
More French
$1,000. Ad space on a guy's forehead for $37,000. And then probably my favorite, a suit of armor for a guinea pig. $1,000.
Well, everybody needs
Guinea
that,
pig-
Keith.
Keep the guinea pig protected and secure in all situations.
All right, and then when we get back on after our other breaks, you're going to give us a few
got a
more.
couple more.
Yeah, that'd be good.
All right. Okay, when we left, we were talking about
We're starting from scratch,
we're
right?
starting from scratch. You don't know anything. There's several ways you can get to eBay. You can Google it. And go on the Google search results. There's a link to the sign-in page. So you would go if you go to the sign-in page right underneath there. There's a little blue link that says register. So you can click that blue link, and you go through there, and you register for an account. Most people, they'll set up on a buyer's account, but if you're going to
First,
sell,
before you do that, though, you got to get registered. So keep going with
that's what we're talking
yeah.
about.
Not even the buyer's part of it. Just do the register part of it. What all does it ask you?
It's basically the same process.
What does it ask
you? have
you?
to verify who you are. You put your name, your address, your email address, several things that would verify who you are. They'll send you an email, and you'll respond to the link on that email, and that's how they know that's your email. You'll put your phone number in. Sometimes they'll send you a text, depending on what options you select when you're setting up your account.
You think this is to keep a lot of crooks from getting on there and
It certainly
having
is.
several different accounts and cheating people?
It certainly is.
So eBay's trying to do a good job on the security side.
And I think overall they do a pretty
think
good
so, too.
job. But now when you're registering for your PayPal account, you'll set up your you'll add a credit card.
So you have to give them a credit card number.
Give them a credit card, verify who you are or your bank.
Now, let's talk about that just for a minute. When you do a credit card, you don't want one that's open-ended. You have a limited credit card, right?
Right.
Well, what do you suggest
I
people
would
do
suggest using a prepaid debit card.
with how many dollars?
Depending on what you're planning on spending, 1,000, couple thousand, 500, depending on what you're planning on spending
Right, or selling.
or selling. And if you're selling, you'll want a link to your bank account. And what they'll do is they'll make 2 small deposits into your bank account, usually a couple cents or 19 cents or 20 cents. And there'll be a link where you'll click that link in your email, and you'll go back in there and you'll put what those 2 deposits were. Of course, now they're going to take those deposits right back out.
Right.
But that's how they know that that's your bank account.
Right.
And once you have that set up, you're ready to.
Well, now, do you have a password on your
Of course.
eBay account,
Yeah.
and you'll also have a separate PayPal password, right?
And I suggest that they not be the same, and that you change them, every 3 or 4 months.
Every 3 or 4?
Yeah, for security.
And it shouldn't be like something to do with your name.
It shouldn't be like password or
Yeah.
or God or
Yeah.
or your name and
Or your daughter or son or
anything
Yeah,
they could go to
birthday.
Facebook and get information about you about.
Yeah.
Because that's what they do. They'll search social media and get personal details about you, and then they'll go
try to get your password.
They'll try to get your
So
password.
when you create a password like for eBay or the PayPal account,
I
do
use.
you want it to, it'll have different things like it'll have a letters, slash, and
When I create a password, I use an uppercase. I always put at least one uppercase in there, lower cases, and some numbers. And that's considered a strong password. And
so how many, between the numbers and the letters, how long is usually, are we talking 10 or 15 digits altogether, or?
well, one of them may have one number that's a minimum required, and one may have a different number.
Yeah.
But
What is the minimum?
I think it's 8 characters. I believe it's 8 characters, 6 to 8 characters.
Yeah.
Without looking, I believe it's 6 to 8 characters. It's been a while since I've set my account up.
Yeah. But you're teaching people now, so.
Yes. So you want strong passwords anyway. You want a link to your bank account, because that's how you're going to get it paid. They're going to put the money.
Now-
and you can leave the money in there.
In your PayPal account?
And use it to buy stuff with if you want to. Or you can transfer it to your bank account.
Well,
Whichever, it's up to you.
when you say leave it in there, like say you complete a sale and let's just assume it's $100.
Yes.
And then that time they take their fees out, they're going to deposit only minus all those fees, right? So say you end up with $90.
Right.
So it's sitting in your PayPal account. Now, how would you get that out of your PayPal account and put it over into your bank account?
Well, you would
or do they do that for you?
You would simply go, no, you have to do it. You would go to PayPal, you would log in, and you would just hit transfer to my bank account and how much you want to transfer.
Okay.
You can transfer
Do you have to
some,
put
you
in
can
a bank
transfer
account
all.
number, or do they automatically know
They
that?
have that on file because you set that up to begin
Okay,
with.
so they do know
That's
it.
called a verified account.
Okay.
And you can't transfer it to an account that hasn't been verified by
Okay.
PayPal.
And they verified it by the 19 cents or 2 cents
by making
deposit.
the small deposits,
Right.
and you going back and telling them what the deposits were.
Right.
That's a verified account, and you can leave the money in there and use it to buy stuff with, or you can transfer it, to your bank account.
Well, let me ask you this. On your PayPal account, say that you leave it in there and it accumulates several dollars. Will they pay you interest on that account or not?
They won't pay you interest
No
on
interest,
that account.
okay. I'm sure some of the listeners would be. So that gives you a reason that you don't want to keep a lot in there.
Right, unless you're wanting to buy a lot of stuff. Just
Well, you can also transfer from your bank account over to your
You
PayPal,
certainly
right?
can. You can put money in your PayPal account and use it to buy with. You certainly can.
Even though you got a credit card on your.
Right. Even though you have a credit card, you can use either. You can use your credit card, or you can use
your
or a
PayPal.
debit card.
Your debit card.
A credit card, a debit card work just
Or
like
PayPal.
a credit card. Or And yeah, and you know something else too about having money in your PayPal account. Lots of stores, you know, take PayPal. You know.
Well, you know why? Because it's so secure and they know that the money will be there.
Yeah.
When you say stores, you're talking about just regular retail stores out here in the public.
I'm talking about Walmart. You know.
Okay, let me ask you something. Do you get a PayPal credit card then?
You can get a PayPal credit card.
Is that what you would use, like for Walmart and them, or like if you decide you wanted to purchase something and you do have a PayPal account? You just give them your PayPal number and they verify it?
Or your email address and your
At the
PIN
Walmarts?
number. Either or. You know, if you don't have your card, you just give them your email address and you don't want to give me. You'd have to type it in yourself. Your PIN number.
Yeah. So if you just type your PIN number in, they can verify it instantly that you do have money in your PayPal account.
Yes. And which is a real good thing. And a lot more and more places are taking PayPal now, and you know that's good.
Which eBay owns.
Well, does
Which-
Walmart
yes.
push their own credit card as well?
Well, of course, you know
Yeah.
they do. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that more and more places are taking PayPal now, and you got money in your PayPal account. I mean, you can use it for that. You can use it to buy with.
Right, it gives Walmart and these other retail outlets another way to get paid.
Yeah.
You know.
It's just like any other credit card service.
Right.
And PayPal does actually
But it
issue
doesn't.
their own
But
credit
PayPal
cards.
has a reputation of being secure,
Yeah, and yes,
and that's why everybody likes to use that PayPal. And you know, like I said earlier, when we first started, though, you know, people took checks, they took cash, they took credit card. I mean, not credit cards, but back then they took the cash and the checks, and then cashier's checks.
Back then we would have waited on the check to clear before we ever shipped. Now,
Right.
you know.
Well, we'd allow a few days.
Yeah, now you get your money from
Instantly.
instantly. Yeah, as soon as you get paid on PayPal, you know, we go ahead and ship the item.
Yeah. And you're right, because back then, if they give you a check, you know, it might be 4 or 5 days before we'd ship it
Yeah,
to make sure that it clears.
well, we did. We
Credit card
hold on
fraud
to
is
it.
so rampant now, man. It's,
Oh, it is. You're right.
And of course, back then, you know, we had another company that, you know, we were set up to take credit cards. So, you know, we took credit cards before PayPal.
Yes.
Before we ever thought about PayPal.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Which was kind of innovative. You know, back then nobody thought about doing that.
That was before.
When we was doing it.
Yeah, that was before eBay had bought PayPal.
Yeah.
We've been doing it almost from the beginning.
We gave them several options, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. We'd take
Okay,
any way we could get it.
so you got them registered now on PayPal and you got them registered on eBay. What's the next?
The next thing you want to do is when you go to sell something, you need to write a really good description of what you're going to sell. And when you're doing that, you need to think about words that you would use to describe an item, even if you didn't have a picture of it.
Well, let's pick an item, Ron. Let's pick something simple. Let's take
say-
something you're familiar with, like
Let's say-
Star Wars.
Or, well, let's say this coffee cup right
Okay.
here. Just for instance, I have it in my hand. You wouldn't want to just say, I have a nice white plastic coffee cup, a styrofoam coffee cup that I want to sell. You would say, I have a white styrofoam, what is that, 8 ounces, 6
6
ounces,
or
8
8
ounces? And you would want to describe it. You want to say it has 6 or 8 bands twice around it. It has some chips out of the bottom of it. It has some coffee stains in it where I've been drinking out of it. You'd want to describe it so that somebody could visualize what that coffee cup looked like, even if you didn't have pictures of it, because if you don't, you're going to get so many emails about that wanting to know, does it have any chips?
But not only getting emails asking questions about it, it limits your market.
Yes.
If
it
you just
limits
say a
your
white
market.
cup, they're going to go on past that. They're going to go to one that just did what you just said. Go to one where I'll go to Ronnie Branch's account where he really describes it, even if you didn't have the picture.
Yeah, and you want to add details, and you want to be sure to mention any items that you're including or excluding with it. Say, I'm going to included with this cup is a plastic spoon, so that you can stir your sugar or your cream cream up with it.
Right.
And if you're not going to, you're going to say there's not going to be anything but the cup. And be sure in your description that you use words that people would type when they're looking for something.
Keywords.
You know, with the keywords. That's exactly right.
Well,
because-
with that note, let's take a break and we'll come back and we'll talk about not only the description. Well, I guess we're going to get into the
then
picture
we'll go
side
to
of
the
it.
pictures,
All right.
The Jiffy Burger on the Hillsborough Boulevard in Manchester has been voted as having the best hamburgers in Manchester. Hometown atmosphere, historical memorabilia, and of course those great burgers, salads, chicken, and so much more. It's the Jiffy Burger on the Hillsborough Boulevard in Manchester. Call in orders at 728-4452. You can also order at the convenient outdoor curb service. Hamburgers are made the old-fashioned way at the Jiffy Burger, Manchester's finest hamburgers. Open 7:30 until 9, Monday through Saturday.
We would like to thank Dr. David Florence for supporting Let's Talk Antiques. See Dr. Florence at 804 Kalon Street in Manchester for all of your medical needs. Call 728-5522 for your appointment today. Most insurances accepted.
Shelton Lane Antiques in Manchester has over 5,000 square feet of antiques for treasure hunters to explore. They sell vintage clocks, gas pumps, signs, furniture, and glassware. They have over 3,000 vinyl records and a fully stocked 1950-style general store. Owners Harold and Ruby Shelton have been collecting unique items for years, and you can start or complete your own collection today at Shelton Lane Antiques. Open Wednesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at 100 Shelton Lane, just off 16th Model Road in Manchester, Tennessee. Come look around and plan to stay a while at Shelton Lane Antiques, where we sell antiques, but the history is free.
Back on Let's Talk Antiques. Got a couple more crazy things from eBay, and then we'll get back to how to do eBay. This one right here says a latex Casey Anthony mask, originally made for a parody video, sold for $999,000.
Good God.
Got a former Toronto mayor Rob Ford's tie, which he wore when he confessed to smoking crack cocaine at the 2013 news conference. Sold for $1,400. It's called the crack tie. Pharrell, I think he's the guy who sang Happy, the Happy song. It was big last year. His infamous brown fedora sold for $44,000. Fun-filled weekend. Not gonna read that one. Let me check these first. We'll read some more after the break. Go ahead, guys.
All right. Evidently, we was off the air there for. I guess we need to go back to those key words.
Okay, we're going to go back. We were talking about, and David was giving us a good example. If you want to go back and talk about that, David.
Yeah. What I was saying when you was talking about those key words, you know, I watch a lot of large transportation toys like the old 20s and 30s, and like Keystone, Buddy L, Wyandotte, Marks. All of those are toy companies that made those larger pieces. So say I had a Buddy L piece. In my description, I might describe the Buddy L piece, but I might also say /Mark /Keystone /Wyandotte, because if somebody types in those other names besides the Buddy L, it'll drive them to that Buddy L piece.
Yeah, and that's
And what that does, it gives them an option to sell that Buddy L piece,
Right.
even though they wanted a Wyandotte piece.
yeah. And if you put the gallery picture on there, it's going to come up in your Google results. You're going to actually see a picture of that toy, and that's going to make you want to go and look at it.
Or styrofoam cup.
So your styrofoam cup, it's worth the little, and that is extra. Now, right now, the first 50 listings don't have insertion fees, which is a fee that you pay to put an item on eBay. And used to, every time you put something on, you'd have to pay an insertion fee.
Right.
Now they're getting more and more where they're not charging insertion fees.
Well,
they're charging final value fees.
Yes.
And you actually have a list there of some of the final value fees, but it's going to average about 15% most of the time.
Yeah, it is. The 15% of the selling price.
Of what the item act. And I'm telling you, they charge final value fees on shipping as well. And we'll get into
Well, they
shipping
used
here in a minute.
see eBay over the years. You know, they started in the 90s, and over the years they've grew and they've learned how to make more money, and that's why you're talking about these final value fees, even on the shipping side of it, because it's the total cost.
Yeah, but it's going to average around, 15% or so. Okay, let's just say, for instance, this is on eBay Motors. You can actually sell cars, trucks, recreational vehicles, just about anything.
You can
think
sell
of.
anything on eBay,
Except
I
guns.
guess. Yeah,
Working guns.
right. Well, and there is some other things you can't sell on there.
Right. Successful listing fees based on vehicle price, $2,000 or less, car, and it's different for different things as well too. That's what I was going to say. Cars, trucks, RVs, campers, commercial trucks, $2,000 or less, $60.
Now that is the listing fee,
That's the final value fee.
final value.
That's the
okay.
final value fee. Free,
Was
free
there a
insertion
list?
fee.
Okay, there you
Free
are.
insertion
Even though
fee.
it's a big item, it's free.
It's
on
free.
the insertion.
Motorcycles, power sports, trailers, and boats, $60. Power sports under 50 cc's, 2,000 or less, $10. So there is a difference. More than 2,000 on the cars or trucks, $125. But now this is on a scale according to what it brings, and that's called the final value fee.
So let's just assume you got a $10,000 car that you sold on eBay. What is it going to cost you to list it and sell it?
Well,
The $10,000. I'll use that round number. So,
it's not going to cost you anything to list it,
but to sell it,
but to sell it more than
let's assume that buyers are responsible for the pickup, so you don't have to worry about the, those fees. So you only got one fee, the selling fee of $10,000.
right.
So what's that $10,000 item car going to cost them to sell on eBay?
It's actually going to be based on it's something. So you can buy subscriptions as well now.
Well, let's just assume you don't. Let's just
you don't
assume
have a
it's
subscription.
one-time deal.
One-time deal. It don't really. It's going to depend on what it brings, but it's usually going to be about 15%.
So what you're saying
round
is,
or about.
so that'd be about $1,500.
More than $2,000, $125.
If it's a $10,000 item, then it would cost you $1,500.
Yeah, but I don't think it's that much, because it's on a
it's not,
scale.
right.
Because
No.
and it's complicated. You have to go through and read the
Yeah.
final value fees, and it'll tell you.
Yeah. So it's not that high then.
And it depends on
That 15%, Ronnie, is more likely on a smaller value.
Right.
When you get up into a higher value,
it's less.
a lot less.
It's a lot less. And depending on whether or not you have a subscription with them, you can have a bronze subscription, which costs you $237 a month. And this is more like for dealers that sell
Yeah,
a lot
well,
of things, and
yeah.
you get a discount. Silver, which is $920 a month. Gold, $2,250 a month.
Well, that's somebody that's selling a lot.
That's for dealers. That's for dealers. That's not for the normal person that just wants to sell one or two things. I had one on here for just regular old plain Jane. Here we go. How fees are calculated. When you list an item on eBay, you may be charged a listing insertion fee, if applicable. You're charged one insertion fee per listing per category. Now you got to remember that you can put your item in several different categories.
And you'll have to pay a fee for each one of those.
For each one of those, you'll have to pay.
But the first 50 are free, right?
For right now, the first
Yeah.
50 are free. And you'll receive one insertion fee credit for each auction style listing for which you paid an insertion fee if that listed item sells. Exclusions apply. Okay, final value fees. If the item sells, you're charged a final value fee. Final value fees are calculated based on the total amount of the sale and are charged per item. That's what I was saying a while ago. And it's on a sliding scale here. Okay. Right now, basic fees for auction style and fixed price listings. Your first 50 listings are free. Exclusions apply. All additional listings over 50 is 30 cents. And the final value fee is 10% of the total amount of the sale. Maximum fee is $750.
Okay, so that
This is
car
on-
would cost you $750 on a
This is
10,000.
on just regular items.
Okay,
That'd be a lot
This,
less.
this is on just regular items because cars can get really complicated.
yeah.
So you have to really read
Well,
those.
we've sold some.
Oh, yeah. We actually sold a 56 Mercedes to some people in the Netherlands. You remember that one?
We sure did. But
And-
those people actually flew over and came to
They
my
came-
house and picked it up, and they had a company out of New York, a transportation company, meet them at my house and load that car up and take it back to the Netherlands. And it took them they said about 2 months to finally get the car there.
Yeah. They shipped it in a enclosed car hauler. And then when I assume when they got it to the port, they put it in a container.
Yeah, it was
And shipped it
56
over there.
Mercedes.
And the company was called C&D Trucking that picked it up, and they marked every little thing that was wrong with that car.
And
they had a picture.
Now when you're saying that, now for the listeners on the radio side, why he's saying it is they got a picture of a vehicle, and then they all put a mark where they think there's a problem, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, this one company that picked it up, there's hundreds of companies that'll do this. Hundreds of them, and you can get on eBay and you can they got a list of transportation companies that'll pick up these cars and haul them.
And for instance, on that one, we had a start price of $2,000, and we had a reserve price on that of $21,500. It was a 7-day auction. And the thing about reserves is it costs you a little extra to put a reserve on one. So sometimes you're better off to just start
Well,
an
I'll tell you
item.
what, let's stop right there and take a break, and we'll be right back, and we'll talk a little bit more about it.
Okay.
Shelton Lane Antiques in Manchester has over 5,000 square feet of antiques for treasure hunters to explore. They sell vintage clocks, gas pumps, signs, furniture, and glassware. They have over 3,000 vinyl records and a fully stocked 1950-style general store. Owners Harold and Ruby Shelton have been collecting unique items for years, and you can start or complete your own collection today at Shelton Lane Antiques. Open Wednesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at 100 Shelton Lane, just off 16th Model Road in Manchester, Tennessee. Come look around and plan to stay a while at Shelton Lane Antiques, where we sell antiques, but the history is free.
We would like to thank Dr. David Florence for supporting Let's Talk Antiques. See Dr. Florence at 804 Kalon Street in Manchester for all of your medical needs. Call 728-5522 for your appointment today. Most insurances accepted.
The Jiffy Burger on the Hillsborough Boulevard in Manchester has been voted as having the best hamburgers in Manchester. Hometown atmosphere, historical memorabilia, and of course those great burgers, salads, chicken, and so much more. It's the Jiffy Burger on the Hillsborough Boulevard in Manchester. Call in orders at 728-4452. You can also order at the convenient outdoor curb service. Hamburgers are made the old-fashioned way at the Jiffy Burger, Manchester's finest hamburgers. Open 7:30 until 9, Monday through Saturday.
Back on Let's Talk Antiques. Got a couple more of these crazy eBay things real quick. We got William Shatner's kidney stone for $25,000.
Good gosh.
He's a kidney stone by himself.
Lunch with Warren Buffett for $2.3 million.
Yeah.
Cornflakes shaped like Illinois went for $1,300. Got a Dorito shaped like the Pope's hat for $1,200. Box of 10 Twinkies. Remember when they said Twinkies were going to go out of existence?
Yeah.
Yes.
10 Twinkies for $60.
Did they go out?
I don't think so.
Oh, they
They
brought them back. Okay.
The meaning of life was sold for $3. Guy wrote on a sheet of paper what the meaning of life was. One single cornflake, $1.63. And finally, Britney Spears' alleged pregnancy test sold for $5,000.
Well, we do have one more thing. We actually auctioned off when Lucky Knott ran for alderman one time, and we actually auctioned off one of his campaign posters, and we couldn't get no bids on it because it was plain. You know, he didn't. So we got him to sign that poster, and that thing brought $1. Wow. It only cost probably $4 to make it, but we sold it for $1 after he signed it.
That a boy, Lucky.
Sign a bunch of them and you'll have some money.
Well, I don't know. That's kind of like that big truck thing, Ronnie. You know, the guy bought the load of coal for $1,000 and sold it for $1,000, and him and his partners got together and said, "You know what? We're making money, but we need a bigger truck so we can get back, make a little more money." So that's kind of like that. He paid $3 or $4 for it and sold it for $1. I don't know if he'd do any good.
Yeah. Now, we were talking about the Mercedes that we had sold, and some interesting things about that was shipping terms. We put buyer pays for all shipping costs. Shipping costs were not specified because you never know where you're going to sell it. So I always like to do actual price. Some people prefer flat rates, which, you know, if you're selling small things, you know, you can do that. But now, payment methods, you know, and this was, you know, back in the day we were talking about the money orders and stuff. It says, I am specifying a $500 deposit using money order or cashier's check, personal check or other. We didn't have PayPal in there because, you know,
We didn't use PayPal.
And when we sold it, what was interesting was the people sent me an email and asked me if I wanted euros or if I wanted dollars. And, of course, you know, if we'd have took the euros, they would have probably just converted it to the dollars, like Philip was saying a while ago. But if you'd have held on to those, you know, you would have had quite a bit of money right now.
Yeah, sure would. Extra
money that you wouldn't have had then. Now, pictures. We're going to talk about pictures, and we are very lucky today that we have an expert with us. He's our videographer and our producer. And Philip, if you would, would
come
you,
right over here. I'm gonna stand right behind you.
give our viewers some pointers on taking pictures.
Well, one of the main things I think about pictures is put a lot on. You get 12 free pictures on every listing, so use all of them. The more descriptive you can be, the better. And you can use your cell phone if your cell phone takes good pictures, or you can just use your digital camera. And just make sure there's no clutter in the background. Ronnie was talking off the air and said that he's built a little white cardboard thing to take pictures of, and that works great. And they even sell little boxes that are lit nicely to if you're going to sell a lot of things. But what I always do is I've got nice hardwood floors at my house, and they just photograph beautifully. And I always just lay whatever I'm selling on the ground or on the floor, and take pictures going down. Now you got to make sure there's no shadows on what you're doing.
That's what I was going to ask. What about lighting and shadows?
I mean, I've got access to some lighting equipment that most people don't have. But you want to light it just as well as you can. You want to show as much detail as you can.
But now I've just used lamps and little halogen lights.
Yeah, sure. That'd be fine.
But what type of lighting is the cleanest, you think?
LED lighting.
LED lighting.
Cleanest. But it's also, it can be harsh, so it can show imperfections. But when and
you want to show imperfections.
That's right. I sold a notebook one time, and it had a broken hinge on it, and I took 3 pictures just of the broken hinge, so whoever bought it would know exactly
what they were getting.
I'm not trying to, rip anybody off.
No, you want people to. You really want better pictures of the imperfections than you do the rest of it. because when you're gonna get emails, and people are gonna ask you about things that they can't see.
All right. So that's what, just take as many pictures as you can, no clutter in the background, no shadows, and just, if you don't have, any special lighting, just bring a couple of lights near and shine it from the sides so that it can just be well lit. So
And you
people
can
know what
always
they're
take a picture or two and look at them, and if you don't like them, you can take some other pictures.
Exactly, yeah.
You're right, you
and
can adjust it.
Use all your pictures if you can. If you can justify using 12 pictures, then I'd use all 12 to
Yeah.
let people know what they've got. The more you can show it to them, the more they're likely to bid on yours.
And I always like to take my best one and use it as a gallery photo, because I
absolutely,
think it's worth the extra money to put a gallery photo so that it will show up in the Google search results.
Right. Okay.
Well, thank you, Philip. So we learned a little bit about taking pictures, and I learned a couple of things I didn't know there.
What have you learned?
That hardwood floors show up and make a good picture. I didn't know that you can lay your item on the floor and take your picture down instead of out.
Into the box that you built.
I've took them on carpeted floors before, but
How'd that work for you?
Work pretty good, depending on the color of the carpet,
Well,
the color of the item, the contrast.
Really, and we only got another minute or so, but when you sell that item, you're exactly right. You want the very best description. You want the very best pictures if you expect the very best price out of it.
Right.
Now, we've even bought things that didn't even have a picture on it because it's so cheap and we could take the chance.
Right.
And if you don't have good pictures, it's not going to bring the money.
And may not even get any bids. They may
Yeah,
not
that's
even
exactly
look at
right.
it. And-
But, something we did not talk about, we should have, in the listing, spelling it right. Because a lot of times, what I'll do, I'll hunt an item by misspell words. Because you might have 25 or 30 or 100 items that's really good, but they just misspell the word. And you can probably buy those a whole lot cheaper.
Because not as many people are
They're not
seeing
looking
them.
for it because they're spelling it right.
And especially if they put buy it nows on there or don't have any reserve on
Yeah.
it,
Well,
we may have to continue this one because there's a lot more.
I think this is going to educate people a lot, and then if they have any questions, they can call back and we can give them Ronnie's phone number and he can walk them right through all those when he's not working.
Yeah.
All right, we got to get out of here.